You are welcome to today's English language class. Once again, my name is Jacob Adu. We'll be talking about something different today. Not very different, but then it's something different from what we have been discussing in our previous videos. We have been talking about the punctuation mark. So today, we'll talk about a different one. Remember, in our previous videos, we talked about the comma and the full stop. So today, we will talk about the hyphen. The hyphen is very important in writing, but people avoid using it because it is a bit more technical than those other ones we have discussed. But I'm sure that after today's lesson, you will not be afraid to use the hyphen anymore. The hyphen, if used wrongly, is very capable of misleading the person you are talking to, just like the other punctuation marks we discussed. So you have to learn it and you have to know when and how to use it. In today's lesson, we hope to achieve certain things. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the hyphen. That is, when you see it, you should know that this is the hyphen. You should be able to interpret it correctly when you read any text in which it is used. You should be able to use it correctly when you write. That is, you should be the one to have a good understanding of it, so that you will be able to write with it, and you can also read other people's writings and understand where the hyphen has been used. This will help you in essay writing, comprehension, and summary sections in your exams. Remember that whenever you use a punctuation mark wrongly, or you omit it where it should be used, there is going to be a deduction of half a mark, especially when you write your essays. One main function of the hyphen is to join words. This punctuation mark is mainly to join words together to form a single idea. When the combined words come before a noun, they act as a single idea, a word, an adjective, modifying the noun. Example: I live in an off-campus apartment. This is a state-of-the-art design. Off-campus is a new idea created by bringing off and campus together. And this combination forms an adjective, modifying the noun apartment. In the second sentence, state of the art, you have four words joined using the hyphen. And these four words now create a new idea, a new single idea, modifying the noun design. This is a state of the art design. The hyphen is used to form compound verbs. Okay? It is used to form compound verbs. The earlier examples we just read are combination of words to form adjective. Now it is combination of words to form verbs. The slacker video gamed his way through life. Video gamed. See, that is a verb. The two words joined together create a new idea. Video is not separated from gamed. I have babysat for 6 decades. Baby and sat. I have babysat for 6 decades, which means the person has been babysitting. Okay. Whenever a compound noun is to be formed, if it is not a common one, it is important to use the hyphen to join the words. Okay? If you want to create a compound noun, just like we have seen the compound adjective, off campus. We have seen the compound verbs, video gamed and babysat. If you want to do the same for the noun, you must make sure that you know the noun is not a very common one, the one that has been in use for years. Okay, if that is not the situation, then it's important that you use the hyphen to separate the words in that compound noun. Or you can check them out in a dictionary. If you don't find it in the dictionary, then of course you just go ahead and use the hyphen to separate them. The hyphen can be used to talk about ages. Let us see how that is done. I have a 2-year-old child. I have a 2-year-old child. 2-year-old is constructed in this sentence using the hyphen. 2-year-old, you have 3 words brought together using the hyphen. And here a new concept is formed. And this concept is adjectival. So 2-year-old modifies the noun child. If you remove that, you're going to have I have a child. So the addition of that new idea is to say something more about the noun child. Let us try to replace that with a different word, a different adjective. You're going to have something like, I have a tall child. So that is, if you replace it with the word tall. I have a tall child. I have a short child. I have a wonderful child. I have a brilliant child. You can have as many other constructions as possible. Okay? But then, if you have this, I have a 2-year-old child. It's going to be a different thing completely. Now, the old is separated from 2-year. This is not a correct usage or a correct construction of a sentence. I will not talk much about that so as not to get you confused. But then, as we continue, we are going to understand more and more of such kind of situations. But basically, let me just say this. When you separate 2-year from old, you allow old to stand on its own and retain its actual meaning, probably saying that the child is old. Okay? Do not use hyphen in the child is 2 years old. Years is plural in this case. So you shouldn't use hyphen to join maybe 2 and years or 2 years old together. They are okay, the words are okay used like that in their separate ways. 2 years old are all standing alone, carrying their exact meaning. 2 is modifying years. Years is modifying old. So that is how it works in this kind of situation. One other function of the hyphen is to clear confusion. You should use the hyphen to avoid confusion. The following sentences do not mean the same. Just has a little town charm. Just has a little town charm. She has a concealed weapons permit. She has a concealed weapons permit. In the first sentence, just has a little town charm. It means that just has the kind of quality that can be associated with little towns. Some characteristics, maybe its serenity, its neatness, or anything nice about little towns. The second sentence there, just has a little town charm. It means that just has a kind of charm. You know what a charm could mean? Something diabolic. It has this charm that is found, or that could be found, in little towns. So in this case, the impression, I think, is negative. She has a concealed weapons permit. Here it means that she has the permit to keep weapons. She's permitted to keep weapons, not weapons she could just carry about to intimidate people. Okay, she's meant to keep it, perhaps to use it when the need for it comes. But you see, the second sentence in that pair again, she has a concealed weapons permit, is suggesting that she has the document. Okay, she has the document which she has hidden. She has hidden the document that is meant to be a permit for keeping weapons. She is not allowed to have a weapon, but she has the document. But the first sentence is suggesting that she is allowed to have the weapon. You use the hyphen in numbers. Hyphenate spans or estimates of time, distance, or other quantities when using numbers. For example, 2:25 to 10:45 p.m. 1999 to 2020. 350 to 445 people. The hyphen here is basically referring to, or is used to mean toe, because it is showing a distance between one number and the other. The first example there is talking about time, 2:25 to 10:45 p.m. It's a span of time. 1999 to 2020. 350 to 445 people. So you see, that's one way you use the hyphen. The hyphen can be used in compound numbers. 28 cards, 134 plots of land. 28 cards, 134 plots of land. So you can see 28. Sometimes you find people using 28 in writing, and when they use it, they write it as two separate words, 20 and 8. Or sometimes they're written together just as one word, but that is not the correct way to write it. You use a hyphen to separate 20 and 8. Likewise, 30 and 4. Hyphenate fractions written in words, but do not use hyphen if it is introduced by a or an. I read that again. Hyphenate fractions written in words. You know what fractions are. When you say 1, and when you write 1 and you put a dash under it and you write 3, that is 1/3. Okay, that is a fraction. But do not use hyphen if it is introduced by a, that is the article a, or an. I can eat 1/3 of the food alone. 1/3. You can see that? Less than 1/3 of the church members were at the crusade. You see where you can use it, 1/3. But in the second sentence, less than 1/3. You don't have to use the hyphen in that situation. The hyphen is also used along with prefixes. Hyphenate prefixes when they come before proper nouns or proper adjectives. Before you understand this very part of the lesson, you should ensure that you still remember what a prefix is, and what a proper noun is, and what a proper adjective is. If you don't, it's important that you pause this video and then go in and do some reading on this before you come back to continue. Is there a list of the Pan-African nations? Pan-African. Where is the prefix there? The prefix is pan. African is what? It's an adjective, but it is a proper adjective. Why would we call it a proper adjective? Because it's a word that must be written with a capital letter at the beginning. African. That is simply what makes it a proper adjective. Remember, we said that proper nouns are nouns that are written basically, one basic identification of proper nouns is that they are written, no matter where they are used in a sentence, they are written with the first letters as capital letters. African is one. So in this case, it is called a proper adjective because you can't write that word African with a small letter. And at the same time, it is an adjective because it is modifying the noun nations. So Pan-African nations. Pan, that's the prefix. The adjective is African, and then the noun is nations. Okay? The Pro-Chancellor is in the list of invitees. Pro is the prefix, Chancellor is a noun. My birthday is in mid-April. Mid is the prefix, April is the noun, the proper noun. Other things to note about the use of the hyphen. These sets of sentences do not mean the same thing. My great-grandfather reached 102 years before he died. My great-grandfather reached 102 years before he died. These two sentences do not mean the same, even though the words look very much the same, even in the reading, you read them as just the same thing. But the use of the hyphen to separate great and grandfather in the first sentence changes the meaning of that sentence. Great-grandfather. We know what great-grandfather means. Who is your great-grandfather? Of course, that is the father of your grandfather. So when you say my great-grandfather reached 102 years before he died, you are referring to the father of your grandfather. What about the second sentence? My great-grandfather reached 102 years before he died. In this case, you are saying that your grandfather, you're referring to your grandfather, not your great-grandfather, but that your grandfather was great. Okay, so you say, my great-grandfather reached 102 years before he died. So while the first sentence is talking about your great-grandfather, the second sentence is talking about your grandfather who was great. He has recovered his stolen goods. We can recover the dangerous well. Or let us say it this way. We have recovered the dangerous well. Okay? Now, recovered in the first sentence there doesn't have the hyphen separating covered and the prefix re. But the second sentence has that. These two are different words. The one without the hyphen means that you are getting back something. Recover, to get back something that is missing, something that is probably stolen. as shown in the sentence there. But the second one is saying you are covering again. You covered before a hole, a well, a dangerous well. You covered it, maybe somebody opened it, and now you are covering it again. That is recover. So you see that if you mean either of the two and you fail to use or to write it in the correct way, you will be telling a different thing altogether. If you say, I have recovered his stolen goods, let's say you use a hyphen there, it means that you'll be saying that you covered the stolen goods before and somebody opened it. Now you want to cover it again, or you have covered it again. Okay? And the second one, if you use it without the hyphen, we have recovered the dangerous well. It means you are saying that there was a dangerous well, and that well perhaps was covered to be sure it's no longer dangerous. You want it to always be there, and it should always be dangerous. Therefore, you are going to recover it to make it dangerous again. So you see, just avoiding the hyphen will make your message completely opposite what you intend to say. Here are certain things you shouldn't do as you try to use the hyphen. Do not add space around the hyphen. It is incorrect when you want to write coexist and you use a hyphen in between co and exist, and then you have space around the hyphen, as you can see here. The correct way to write it is coexist without any space between co and the hyphen, or between the hyphen and exist. Do not use the hyphen with adverbs ending with ly, as in friendly looking, beautifully dressed bed. The correct way to write it is without the hyphen. So take note of that. Take note of that. Well, I don't always like to make people feel that something is just a rule. You should understand. Beautifully dressed bed. Beautifully is modifying dressed. Okay? It is trying to tell you how the bed is dressed. But if you use the hyphen, it will not, beautifully will not be modifying dressed. That is simply the logic in it. So do not just go with it as a rule. Just saying, well, this is a rule, you don't do this. No, understand exactly why you don't do certain thing and why you should do it. Beautifully is supposed to be a modifier, modifying dressed. That is an adverb. Okay? So you should not bring the adverb and the verb together to form a word. There must be a verb in your sentence. If you say, this is a beautifully dressed bed, and you used the hyphen to connect beautifully and dressed, then beautifully and dressed will have a different meaning from the actual meaning you intend to have, which you should get if you write beautifully dressed without the hyphen. Okay, so this is a beautifully dressed bed. So beautifully modifies dressed. Alright. So the two words are separate. They are not the same. They're not meant to operate as one idea. Do not use dash in its place. That is, do not confuse dash and hyphen. Dash is longer than the hyphen. So whenever you use the hyphen, make sure you are using the hyphen and let it be very clear that what you have used is the hyphen and not the dash. Do not use the hyphen with very. It's incorrect to say very beautiful and then use the hyphen between very and beautiful. Okay? Do not hyphenate proper nouns, compound words. That is, when you have a proper noun that is a compound word, you should not use the hyphen. Example is academy award. Academy award. Academy is a proper noun. Award is a proper noun. So when you're saying academy award winner, the two words are going to stand separately. They will not be joined by using the hyphen because they are both proper nouns. This is a little work for you to do. For each of the following, choose the correct sentence. Dan is already 3 years old. Dan is already 3 years old. Dan is already 3 years old. So you are going to choose the correct writing, the correct answer, the correct sentence. These are 3 sentences, only one of them is correct. You have numbers 1 to 5. Okay. This is 4 and 5. What kindly looking eyes my sister has. What kindly looking eyes my sister has. What kindly looking eyes my sister has. So you can pause this so that you will write down the whole sentences and then pick your answer. Thank you for being around. Let's meet again in another class. You can ask any questions through this email. And of course, you should also submit your answers through the same email. You can leave a comment at the end of this slide. When you go down from the video you're watching, if you go down after some other videos perhaps that may be present there, go down, you'll see a session where you are permitted to leave a comment. So you can write a comment there. If you have a question, you can ask it there too. Okay, and I will check it and I will respond as needed. Thank you.